welcome back to Film on High, and the movie that we're going to review today is Nope, directed by Jordan Peele. It's a science fiction horror mystery thriller that stars Daniel Kaluuya, Steven Yeun, Keke Palmer, Brandon Perea. So this movie I could categorize as a very quirky, somewhat with horror beat type of science fiction movie where this ranch owner, OJ, has to deal with essentially what is an alien that is marking its territory. So what did you think about it?
Well, this is a pretty strange movie. It's kind of a strange film to talk about. I'm in a weird position because I haven't seen any of Jordan Peele's movies before this. I haven't seen Get Out or Us, so I didn't really know what to expect. I'm not sure if this film is really an accurate representation of his style. It's possible that maybe he was trying something a bit more experimental and a bit weird. But despite all that, I was kind of fond of the movie. I really wasn't sure what to expect going into it. It's very kind of slow-paced and has a weird offbeat feel to it. It's a weird movie to categorize because it's not quite a comedy, it's not quite horror, it's not quite sci-fi. It kind of lightly touches on all those genres and blends it together.
Yeah, what I liked about the movie was more, you don't see any real horrific deaths that you would see in horror movies, but it's just more the implication of it,
Yeah, there are some pretty horrific moments in the movie, but they're, the way that they're played, it's hard hitting, but also kind of offset by the kind of weird quirkiness of the movie. There's something kind of comedic about it, even when the most messed up stuff is happening.
Yeah. Let's talk about OJ for a second. So the main character, played by Daniel Kaluuya, his character is very much, I don't want to say very silent, but he's very soft-spoken in a sense.
He's laid back to the point of being almost non-existent. It's a really it's an interesting performance because, the character of OJ with Daniel Kaluuya, and he also has his sister in the film, Emerald, played by Keke Palmer, and it's kind of about their dynamic and how they play off each other. Emerald is really kind of a high-energy character, constantly going in all these different directions, and she has a lot of crazy ideas and schemes. And OJ's the much more kind of calm, rational, you almost get the sense that, life is beating him down, he's sort of resigned to his position in life, and he just wants to, live out his life on this horse ranch with, his Hollywood kind of celebrity horses and do his thing, or, but he wants a simple life, but his sister's more, she has more crazy ambitions, and they both kind of get swept up into this improbable plan, because, when it first becomes apparent that something bizarre is going on, their immediate kind of impulse is to just try and get some kind of photograph or evidence of it, ostensibly for fame, I guess, or attention. The film kind of has that satirical edge to it, with people doing anything to kind of get
they kind of set it off with a good tone with the director when they're filming the commercial with OJ and the horse.
Yeah.
And everybody's just kind of you get to see kind of the behind the scenes of how it would typically work for maybe a Hollywood shoot or even a low grade shoot. And so seeing them kind of doing the whole documentary type of thing and trying to get evidence of this thing, like you said, for fame or for publicity and stuff like that for the ranch itself, it's more of like I mentioned before, where when you see it by yourself, you're gonna think you're crazy, but when there's somebody else with you, you can definitely say it's okay, it's not just me. There's validity to this.
Yeah, there's a few other oddball characters in the film who get mixed up in these proceedings. There's Angel, who's a clerk at a electronics store. He kind of barges his way into this little scheme of theirs and kind of forcefully insists on being part of it. He was kind of a good character, kind of, a little bit goofy and weird in his own way. And there's also, what was the documentary guy's name? Antlers Hoist or something?
Yeah.
He had a really weird name, played by Michael Wincott. He was great. kind of, like a parody of, like kind of a pretentious like documentarian or filmmaker, and he's probably like, in a cast full of weirdos, he's probably the weirdest, but I enjoyed his performance, and I enjoyed what they did with his character.
Honestly, this movie is really great in the sense of that you don't really even with the title, you don't expect to see exactly what you're going to see in the movie.
Yeah, like apparently, like, people, even when the first trailer dropped, people already kind of guessed that it was going to be about UFOs and stuff like that, but even then, the movie just kind of goes in a direction you don't really expect. Like, I guess you could kind of compare it to an M. Night Shyamalan film, like Signs, or maybe like a Spielberg film, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, but really with a kind of like muted, cynical, comedic tone, which I enjoyed. Exactly. And, it feels a bit like experimental in a way, just because there are large portions of the film where there's not much going on. Like, it's very much mood pieces with the characters and slow paced. And I feel like it was kind of, brave to go in that direction, release a film like that, when people are, more accustomed to thrills and things going on. And, there is kind of a build-up and, a climax in the film, and there are some genuinely exciting and disturbing moments, but for the most part, you really kind of, you gotta, strap in and kind of get into the vibe of the movie. Like, it's not a movie you can really recommend anyone. I'm sure some people might watch this and feel like, oh, that was terrible, it was, nothing happened. But, if you're in the right mindset, this is a really good film to watch.
Yeah, and honestly, the CG effects, all the VFX that you see in the movie, it's believable enough that you could kind of see it as like, okay, that's weird. Even the last scene, it's the design of the creature, I want to say, is very interesting.
Yeah, like, it's weird because on one hand, like, yeah, it looks, the CGI is decent, but it definitely has this kind of old school, like, pulp science fiction vibe to it. Like, you can tell it's, it's not meant to be taken entirely seriously. Like, there's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek sentiment going on, but even then, there are some, like I said, some genuinely kind of creepy and disturbing moments there that are almost like, wow, where did that come from?
Yeah, and there's an especially very cruel scene with Steven Yeun, where he has his character, I think his name is Jupe, and this character goes through a traumatic experience when he was a child, and we get to see really his let's just say his last performance. And right off the bat, the film kind of starts with this traumatic incident that happened to this character when he was on a TV show, and it's definitely like a weird way to start off the movie and gives you a sense of what kind of movie you're going to be in for, something really offbeat and strange. So I felt like that was a good way to ease people in. But again, like, you have subplots that don't necessarily pay off or have like great meaning to them, but it kind of just works for the overall vibe of the film. I like, these characters almost have like sort of aimless lives, and they all kind of get pulled into this because they don't really have anything better to do. I like that aspect of the film. I like that idea of it. Yeah, so...
And yeah, Daniel Kaluuya was great. He's always great. In this movie, again, he's so, like, he underplays it to a point where he's so stoic. Like, I think maybe his performance was meant to be a tribute to, like, old school Western heroes, because the film obviously has a bit of a Western cowboy vibe as well, with the characters on a ranch, and, maybe that's what he was doing. He was trying to channel, like, the old school cowboys who were very stoic and very hard-faced, like Clint Eastwood, trying to give a performance that's, where he doesn't say much, but he still conveys a lot.
We got to give a special mention to Keith David as well.
Yeah, Keith David as a brief, he's he's not in the film for too long, but, I always love to see Keith David. Great actor.
Yeah. So overall, this movie, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 myself. Again, I really enjoyed it. Like, there are some moments that are pretty slow-paced, but, I enjoyed it just for, the weird kind of offbeat quality that it has. It kind of, like, it almost reminds me of, like, a weird indie movie you'd see in the 90s, but except with a bigger budget and a bit more flair to it. So, yeah, all in all, pretty good movie. Definitely worth checking out.
All right, so this has been Nope, and this has been Film on High Reviews.
Peace.
Later.